we're looking at here, obviously, Messier 27, it's just our kickoff view. At precisely 8 o'clock, I just did a multi-star alignment, both the east and the west, after using the drift method on the moon to make sure that the azimuth was properly set up so tracking would follow it. The one thing I made sure I did is clear out the old model so that the model was not distorting my adjustments in the progression of the moon. I did this for 15 minutes and kept it stationary in the center of the field. So all I had to really adjust was the azimuth. Tonight, of course, we're going to go on and we're going to continue despite a 7-day moon plus. It's not quite half moon yet, but it's getting close. And despite the fact that I can now see that the sky is not as dark as I might like it. There were clouds earlier in the day, so I can't say that the last several nights have been like that, as have been some problem with transparency, because we were getting pretty decent views. We're operating at 10-second exposure times, we are stacking, and we'll have to stay alive to the fact that stars can end up being distended. And when they are, it's either me shifting around or the resources of the computer are too strained to be able to do the stacking, which means I would have to stop the computer, reboot it, and clear out all of its resources. So here's our view of Messier 27, the dumbbell planetary nebula, which is only about 900 light years distant, very bright, about 8th magnitude, quite large, 5 by 8 arc minutes in size. I think I might want to push it just so we can see it fill the field of view, and maybe just adjust the histogram a little bit, just for the heck of it. I do have the Optilong deep sky filter once again loaded, and the reason being is I got such bad views of nebulosities last night without it. We're going to quickly go over and have a look at the eastern veil, which I believe is 6992, and see if there's any improvement, as well as the crescent 6888. I just shifted my body out of the observatory proper. I'd like to believe we're getting a better view tonight than we did last night, and because tonight we have the Optilong deep sky filter in, and it certainly would make sense to have it, especially with that moon illuminating whatever water vapor and thin clouds are in the sky. So there is our 90x view of the Crescent Nebula. Let's go on now to the Eastern Veil, 6992, before we begin our studies at 7100 tonight. But this is a very nice view of the Eastern Veil at 10-second exposure using the Optilong filter on a night where the sky looks a little brighter than it did last night. So, tally ho. All right, our first study is towards the center of the field. Drum beat, please. But not on the floor, please. NGC7100, Galaxy and Pegasus, magnitude 14.7, 0.7 by 0.7 arc minute. Obviously, it's not a magnitude 14.7. But it is 375 million light years distant, which puts it at about maybe 80,000 light years in diameter. Right ascension 2139.34, declination plus 8 degrees, 52 minutes 37 seconds. It does not specify the class of galaxy, but I would estimate this is probably a sub 14 magnitude galaxy, NGC 7100. Okay, in the same field of view, which I'm about to expand, we should have an NGC 7101. And I have yet to get the data out. But this is a fairly faint galaxy, so and will be suspicious when we see the magnitudinal value. NGC 7101 is once again a galaxy very close to 7100. Magnitude 15.8, 0.5 by 0.5 arc minute. It's called a compact. 381 million light years distant, puts it about 50 to 55,000 light years in diameter. Right ascension 2139.34, declination of plus 8 degrees, 52 minutes 37 seconds. And any galaxy that's 381 million light years distant, it's going to be intrinsically quite brilliant. So probably close to a lenticular or an elliptical. Okay, we're compressing them down a little early here, but we'll be skipping around after we get some more galaxies and other studies under our belt. This is NGC7100, a galaxy in Pegasus, magnitude 14.4. Should be identifiable. It's got a 1.6 by 0.9 arc-minute aspect ratio, apparent size, spiral with a bar in lowercase b, which means it's probably, the blue-violet is probably about 13.7 magnitude, 218 million light years distant, puts it about the size, maybe a little larger, of our own Milky Way. Right ascension 2139.44, declination plus 6 degrees, 17 minutes, 9 seconds. Our next study is NGC 7100, the galaxy in Pegasus. Magnitude 14.3. I selected it because it has a 3:1 aspect ratio, 1.2 to 0.4 arc minutes. Spiral lowercase ab means it has multiple spiral arms, but it's 1.5 times removed from lenticular, which means it's probably got delta BB delta somewhere around 0.7. 263 million light years distant. Right ascension is 2142.23 with a declination of plus 12 degrees, 29 minutes, 55 seconds. Well, while I was reading that, the stars got rather distended, so I'm going to go ahead and zoom up to 150x, and this is probably our galaxy right there. Okay, I thought I'd go deep south for a view down there in the direction of the moon. Anyway, we're seeing a galaxy in Pisces Australis. Magnitudes 1.14, 1.7 by 0.4 arc-minute spiral with a lowercase b. It's 156 million light years distant, so it's probably about 80,000 light years in diameter. Right ascension 2143.38 with a declination of minus 25 degrees, 21 minutes, 4 seconds. I can see clouds off to the south, but not in the part of the sky we are looking at. But we do have that moon. Okay, nice stars and a nice background sky now. We are pointed overhead for this galaxy right here, which happens to be NGC 7116 in Cygnus, magnitude 13.3, 1.1 by 0.4 arc-minute, spiral with a lowercase bc. 163 million light years distant, right ascension 2142.40, declination plus 28 degrees, 56 minutes, and 47 seconds. The NGC 7137 galaxy Pegasus, magnitude 12.4, 1.6 by 1.4 arc-minute, spiral with a bar, lowercase c, though thrice removed, and it only has 2 spiral arms in its morphology. 77 million light years distant puts this at maybe 35,000 light years in diameter. We're at right ascension 2148.13, declination plus 22 degrees, 9 minutes, 34 seconds. Okay, our next view here is NGC 7156 galaxy once again in Pegasus. That flying horse really does gather a lot of moss. Magnitude 12.5, 1.7 by 1.4, spiral with a bar, lowercase c, 179 million light years distant, probably about 75,000 light years in diameter. Right ascension 2154.33, declination plus 2 degrees, 56 minutes, and 34 seconds. Okay, our next study is NGC 7165, galaxy in Aquarius. And I selected it because it's magnitude 14, 0.9 by 0.8 arc-minute. Spiral with a lowercase ab, but it has an annularity. Now this is pretty faint, so we got to see if we can make out the frontier of the annularity around this galaxy. Probably makes sense to just make a slight adjustment in the histogram. Now that's heading too bright. All right, well, get down the field a little bit. Anyway, it's magnitude 14 with a ring. Right ascension 2159.26 with a declination of minus 16.45. that could prove to be a bit problematic. What we should be seeing now is a brightish galaxy. And here it is. It's also quite large. Back out just a little bit. NGC7171 is a galaxy in Aquarius, magnitude 12.2, 2.3 by 1.3 arc minutes. Vaguely visible. Right ascension 220101, declination minus 13 degrees, 16 minutes, 10 seconds. We just had some real serious distortion. I have been battling this all evening, having to restart. I think resources are kind of chewed up in the laptop, but there could be other issues as well. Here we're having a nice view of a northerly galaxy, NGC 7177 in Pegasus, magnitude 11.2, 3.2 by 2.1 arc minutes. Spiral with a bar, lowercase b, 51 million light years distant, means it's probably about 50,000 light years in diameter. Right ascension 22 hours, 41 minutes with a declination of plus 17 degrees, 44 minutes and 15 seconds. Okay, we've gone pretty deep south, as you can tell by the luminosity, but the galaxy's worth it. NGC 7184, we're getting distension, so I'm going to launch it again. NGC 7184, it's got a nice bright core with expansive spiral arms, edgy on. This is a magnitude 10.9, 5.6 by 1.3 arc minute spiral with a bar, lowercase c, and a ring. That's interesting. 114 million light years distant. So detailed images of this galaxy must show the spiral arms wrapping around. Right ascension 22 hours, 2 minutes, 39 seconds. But the reason why we had such a luminous background is we're at minus 20 degrees, 48 minutes, 46 seconds. I could play just a little bit. And that helped a lot, didn't it? Well, I haven't been using the histogram very much, but that was certainly a big improvement. Okay, here we have an open cluster, the first of the evening, that I've selected. I haven't seen that many of them, actually. It's NGC 7193 in Pegasus, 3,500 light years distant. Right ascension 220303 with a declination of 10 plus 10, 48, 6 seconds. And yes, we could tell them that it is a Roman numeral 1 because it does stand out quite distinctly from this field of view. Okay, our most northerly study tonight, NGC 7197, obviously is a galaxy, but it's in Lacerta, the lizard. Magnitude 12.8, 2-to-1 aspect ratio, 1.6 by what? Spiral with a lowercase a, so fairly mature, 201 million light years distant, puts it about 80,000 light years in diameter. Has a right ascension of 2202.58 and our most northerly declination so far, and we're getting full aperture, I do believe, plus 41 degrees, 3 minutes and 33 seconds. That's why I've got to catch things before they have culminated, especially to the east. I did want to do a little zoomage on this galaxy. Stars are a little distended, but there it is. I'll go ahead and see if I can get the stack to clean up a little bit first. There's the first stack. There's the galaxy. Let's see what we're at. That's 150x view of NGC 7197 in Lacerta. Okay, here we should have a view of NGC 7198, a galaxy in Aquarius. This will be our last study in the 7100 to 7199 series. NGC 7198, there's nothing after it. That's galaxy is magnitude 13.3, 1.5 by 1. Lenticular spiral, 213 million light years distant, so about 80,000 light years in diameter. Has a right ascension of 2205.14 and a declination just shy of the celestial equator, by 38 minutes and 53 seconds. We're now going to have our exit view. Well, just by looking up at the sky, I could see we weren't going to get a good view of Messier 110. There are high, thin, illuminated clouds by the moonlight right up in that part of Andromeda. So with that, I'm going to say Carpe Noctem.